Well, hello and welcome to episode number 359 of the Plain Talking UK podcast. I'm Carlos, and in this week's show, the lasers are back attacking pilots. A flight deck crew has a fight with cabin crew over a toilet, and an airline buys up some old BA 747 Sims. In the military news this week, there may be a new fighter in the works for 2029. A new F-15EX gets delivered, and an Italian Navy's first female strike fighter pilot earns her wings of gold. So, joining me this week on the show, as always, in the studio, it is, of course, Matt Smith.
Well, hello, everyone. Hello. How are we all?
All right. I was about to say what I'd written in the show notes. I'm so glad I didn't.
It says the words Chaz and Dave in it, which will be completely wasted on virtually anyone else that doesn't. You know, if you've never
Probably
been anywhere near London,
as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Hinge and bracket. Oh, blimey. Yeah, that's all right. Our producer's going to go who now. That's the joys of being. That's the joys of being young, I suppose. We were young once, weren't we, Nev? Hey?
Everyone knows who Chaz and Dave is. Honestly,
do they? Nev, do you know who Chaz and Dave are?
I do, but I'm a gentleman of a certain age.
And Hinge and Bracket, presumably, as well. You're familiar with it? Yeah, absolutely. There we go.
A big welcome as well this week, obviously, to our master of everything tech. It is, of course, Neville Bounds. Nev, welcome back this week. You've had a bit of a rough last few days,
yes,
haven't you?
a bit of AstraZeneca vaccination on Wednesday, which I'm very grateful for. The arm still hurts a bit, but no, I got the big headache and what have you, and sort of the flu-y symptoms. But most of that's gone actually now, so that's good.
Brilliant.
And feeling in tip-top shape.
We do like to hear a tip-top Nev, don't we?
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you. But yes, last night was not as good, I have to say.
Subpar. Definitely
Much
subpar.
better.
Yeah, indeed.
I'll say the wine must be thinking to itself, oh, where's Nev tonight?
Well, no, I did chest it out, make sure it hadn't gone off.
Right.
And it's fine. So
you wanted to make sure that it, that you could still taste it, right? Something like that. Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're on this week, Nev. Glad you're back this week. And Armando's actually missing this week. Unfortunately, he can't join us, but he has sent us some good military stories in this week, which will be coming up later. So don't panic. But hopefully we'll have Armando back on the show next. He's a very busy boy.
I know.
Busy boy. Yeah, he's a busy boy.
I think they were in LA last time I heard.
He's sunning himself. I suppose he's on the beach.
Easy. Yeah, I doubt that somehow. But yeah, I don't. Do you know what? Armando doesn't strike me as the sort of person who would go sunbathing. I don't know.
No.
It's just far too sedentary and boring for him. It's just. Perhaps that's just me. Can I talk about something? May I talk about something?
I was actually going to say something before we move on, Matt.
Yeah.
I'm going to say a big hello, and I know she does listen occasionally, especially last week. But we're going to say a big hello and get well soon to Mama Smith.
Yeah.
Because she has had a really naff last week. So I know Mama Smith listens to the show occasionally, so
No, you're completely wrong there. She's never listened to the show, and then for the first time ever, she sat down and listened to what I wanted to talk about, which was probably the most incredible show we've ever done, which was the Incredible Women in Aviation show that was hosted by Megan and Dr. Steph and Ariel and also Jodie. I mean, and what a fantastic show it was. And I'll tell you what, guys and girls, I would really appreciate it if you enjoyed the show too. Do us a huge favour, because I want to share with everyone how well I mean, I thought it was a fantastic show. I really did. I mean, it was lovely to sit here like behind the scenes and just press all the buttons. It was so much fun. Carlos did keep sending me pictures of him on his sofa with popcorn enjoying the show. But please, guys, we would love to hear your feedback on last week's show, because we're sort of toying with the idea of doing a few more of these specials, and we really genuinely want to know how well they received. As I say, last week's was a real special one, and I'd love to share feedback with the wonderful people who were involved in it. So please do me a huge favour. I don't ask for much often, but please do me a huge favour and just ping into us an email on podcast@plaintalkinguk.com. That's podcast@plaintalkinguk.com, and we'd love to receive your feedback on what you thought about last week's show, because It was just fantastic. It's available on YouTube. It's last week's show, as I say. It's available on YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube. You can listen to it as an audio-only download as well by searching your favourite podcast catcher for Plain Talking UK and looking for last week's show. It was called the Women in Aviation show. So make sure you search for that. Links will be in the description attached to this very video. Apparently they're already in there, I'm being told. But yeah, please do.
It's also worth noting as well what Matt was saying as well. There was not only a hell of a lot of work went into the pre-production work on the show, but also during the show as well. There was a heck of a lot of stuff going on which you wouldn't have heard or seen. So big thank you to John, our producer John, and also absolutely. Matt as well.
Yeah, it was a real privilege to be involved in that. As I say, please do send us some feedback about it, because we want to know. You might have ideas for other specials that we could do, for example, where we could improve things. Hello, Richard is saying last week's show was fantastic, way better looking than these hosts. Yeah, that's kind of missing the point of what the whole thing.
I was going to say, Richard Adams has said it could have run for 6 hours without getting boring.
Yeah, I must admit, 3 hours is probably one of the longest ones we've done, hasn't it? Yeah, it was fantastic, wasn't it? What did Mark say? Sorry, I missed that one, John.
Mark said, "What a great show last week, but guys, we still need the man shed."
The man shed? What's the man shed? Somebody explain.
Man shed. I've got a man garage.
We are the man shed. Oh, we are the man shed, right? Okay. Did he mean show? Anyway,
how did you enjoy the show last week, Nev?
Oh, brilliant! Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I was sitting downstairs on the big telly watching it, and really, really well received. And the amount of new information that I learned about all of the hosts was fantastic. And I couldn't have been happier. Actually, it was really good. And in fact, it turned out that it was one of our biggest watched shows ever live, which was great. Wasn't
Absolutely,
it? So really pleased.
It was our biggest show ever live. So please do, please feedback on. So +44 757 2249 166. That's +44 757 2249 166, or podcast at plaintalkinguk.com. That's podcast at plaintalkinguk.com. We want to be able to share. We want to share your feedback on what you thought of the episode with our wonderful hosts, basically. So please do get in touch and share the love, please, because I think they deserve so much respect. For the job that they did. Micah says that they did a great job, and the hosts were amazing. So thank you, Micah. It's great.
So we're going to say a big hello to everyone who has joined us in the YouTube chat room this evening. All the usual family members in there. We're going to have a quick name check to see Richard Adams. Hello to you. Lee Davies. Hello. We've got, scrolling down, Neville Bounce is in there. That's always good.
Never heard of him.
And we've got Captain Cruz. Hello to you, Captain Cruz. Stephen H. Hello to you. Obviously, Rick Bell, the absolute legend that is Rick Bell. Lane Street. We couldn't do, obviously, a show without having Lane in the chat room. Nick Codling. Let's make sure. Graham Haley. Hello to you, Graham. One of our Kitchen Disco fans there. Masha. Hello to you, Masha. And make sure main man Micah, Uncle Micah's in there, making sure everything's running sweetly. Mark Priestley, hello to you, Mark. Oh, blimey, I need a beer. And we did mention Graham Haley. Yeah, we did mention. Don't panic. But welcome to one and all who has joined us in the live YouTube feed this evening. So don't forget, if you haven't already subscribed to the show, make sure if you're watching us live now, you click that subscribe button on the YouTube page, hit the bell icon, which will ping your phone or device when we go live and we are recording, as we are now, a new episode, because we'd love to have you in the chat room with us on the show. So if you're listening to the audio version, get yourselves over here on a Friday evening at 7:00 and join us in the YouTube chat room. So, weekly roundup then. What have we got to chat about last week's show? We've covered last week's show. And we've also got the links. Don't forget as well, if you did miss, as Matt said earlier, last week's epic show, obviously check us out on YouTube. The links will all be on there. And there'll also be the links to the show on the show notes for this particular episode if you did miss it as well. So what's everyone been up to, or what has people been up to since last week? Matt, what have you been up to this week? Anything exciting?
Well, unfortunately, mostly trips to and from various A&Es, unfortunately, and various hospitals. So, yes, well, we're desperately trying to get poor Mama Smith mended. So, yeah, it's been quite a busy week. I have to say, though, hats off to, I know I keep saying this, but the company that I work for, Naked Wines, have been absolutely fantastic, and they've enabled me to sort of go up and, because unfortunately, visiting isn't really allowed, but I've been allowed to sort of stand in the corridor and just have a brief chat with Mum when I've been dropping off bits and pieces. But I say my personal thanks to the amazing team that I work with, who've all been incredibly helpful, just letting me sort of get done what needs to be done, basically, because we all want Mama Smith to be well very soon. So
yes,
the world needs her chutneys. There's no two ways about it. So,
and cakes
and things like that. But yeah, so my week has been mostly absorbed by that. There is something that I might mention at the end of the show, which I'm doing perhaps tomorrow. I don't know whether I should do that or
I think you should.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
It's I didn't. Sorry, I did. What you're laughing, Carlos? What's that?
No, I just said what Captain Cruz says. Are you delivering wine to the hospital?
Delivering wine to the hospital. I'll tell you what, that would go down a storm, wouldn't it? Absolutely. I don't know if the nurses would like it very much, but
Lee Davies is sending love to Mama Smith.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, no, really appreciate it. She needs all the love and hugs that we can send her, please. So please do. But yes, no, tomorrow I'm doing a radio show tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. in the UK here. If you listen to, if you ask your smart speaker, if you're not in the Waveney Valley area, which I know basically only.
Shall I do it now?
Yeah, go on then.
Alexa, play Park Radio Dis.
Okay, right. I mean, maybe that. Yeah, no.
Just not now, because Matt's not on. Matt's not on now. Don't do it now.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, copyright. Oh, okay. I'm being told copyright. Yeah.
Anyway,
so, so that's what I'm doing tomorrow. Yeah.
Nev, what have you been up to this week? Obviously, because you're the flying sort of side of things of the job is kind of on a hold, but
yes. I shan't be flying for work for a couple of months yet, I don't think. But our London office opened again last week, so that was good. So I went to see a couple of folks there, and I'm going to do the same on Monday, which should be nice. Also, got a nice email from Steve Pride. Now, Steve joined us for the 300th show, if you can remember back that long, at the Renaissance Hotel. And Steve says, hi, Nev, trust all is well in these weird times. Strange to think how the world has changed since we sat in the bar at the Renaissance putting the world to rights. I remember that very well, but it doesn't seem as long ago as it really was.
No, it really doesn't.
He says, I was thinking today about whether you'd picked up on the news from Norway, but not about one, but two airlines starting up over here. I think we have mentioned that before, actually. One was already up and running, called Flyer, who's going to concentrate on the Norwegian domestic market, and then the other one started by the same guy who started Norwegian and aiming for low-cost long haul, and that one's called Norse Atlantic Airways. Now, low-cost long haul has got a history of failures, hasn't it? So let's see how they do with this. But maybe the timing's right, because as things are going to be opening up later on in the year, I think perhaps it is the right time to have a crack at a transatlantic low-cost operation, but we'll have to see. But so no, nice to hear from you, Steve. Very much appreciate your email, and looking forward to seeing you somewhere again soon.
Indeed,
I hope so.
Yeah. Actually, do you know what? I mean, I know we have mentioned this before, but the transatlantic low cost thing is the dream, isn't it? Because it enables you. Mainly thanks to this show, but we've all got some amazing friends in America and Canada and all that kind of thing. The ability to be able to do that at an affordable price would just be amazing, wouldn't it?
Very true. Very true. And the price of flights are expensive. Norwegian were one that were trying to do it, weren't they? Were they trying to do transatlantic?
Well, they were running that operation for some time
at a loss.
The load factors were difficult, and I think the problem is if you're going to run an operation like that, you have to fill just about every seat.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just doesn't work.
And of course, was it Premier that we lost last year or the year before? Or Primera, sorry, Primera. That again we're doing that same thing. So it's brave to sort of take on that task, isn't it? But it's
Rick Bell. Rick Bell says, as long as they don't operate 757s.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with a 7.5 rig, you know that.
Beautiful aircraft if you're going from London to Edinburgh,
yes,
but not if you're going across the pond.
And you want to get there quick, Nev.
Well,
Exactly.
yes, indeed. I mean, and I'm the only one to have a negative experience involving
Yes, you
7.5, so I need to shut up. Anyway, we're being shouted at in our ear by a producer.
We need to move on before John kicks us all in the rear
has
end.
a stroke. Yes, indeed.
So we are going to start the show then, as we do each week, with our rundown of the weekly news from across the world and the UK. So if all the team's ready,
yes, we are.
Let's go. So, kicking off this week's first news story. This one comes to us from a few sources, Simple Flying, one of them, getsurrey.co.uk and Av Herald. And we haven't had any laser attacks for a while on pilots, so we thought, well, we'd have one this week. So a Virgin Atlantic Boeing 787-9 registration Golf Victor Delta India Alpha performing flight VS 453 from London Heathrow to Tel Aviv departed Heathrow runway 27 left and was climbing out when a laser was pointed at the aircraft and hit the captain in the eye, I expect. The crew initially continued to flight en route to flight level 410 over Paris, and then the crew, however, of abundance of caution, and turned back to Heathrow due to the captain being increasingly challenged. The crew declared a pan, reporting the captain now could see with only one eye. The aircraft landed safely back at Heathrow's runway 27 left around 75 minutes after departure. The airline reported the laser beam from the ground was shone into the cockpit upon departure. The crew swiftly reported the laser occurrence to ATC and police. Later, the crew needed to return to London, and the flight was postponed until the following day. Israel media outlet Maraviv Daily reported that the perpetrator operating the laser was arrested. This has not yet been confirmed by police. A replacement Boeing 787-9 registration Golf Victor Alpha Hotel reached Tel Aviv's flight VS 453 Alpha the following day with a delay of 12.5 hours. Well, we haven't had one of these for a while, guys, probably because we've not had that many aircraft actually flying anywhere so much over the last 12 months, but seems like it's back. Lasers are back.
So distressing, isn't it? I really thought we'd had the end of all this, but it only takes one stupid person to do this, doesn't it? And honestly, it really is. I mean, people think it's funny, but it is. Well, A, it's a criminal offence, but B, it's incredibly dangerous. But very, very focused beam of light, which can travel a long way in the dark, and highly dangerous. So, I do hope the skipper's okay with his eye. But
I mean,
this is not uncommon, of course, because both in the UK and around the world, apparently, according to the CAA, there were 775 reported laser incidents in 2018, which is the most recent year for which the data is available, and 42% of the British Airline Pilots Association members have experienced a laser attack in the past 12 months. Amazing.
I mean, there's no way that these people don't know that the damage that one of these laser pens could possibly do. So people are doing this on purpose, aren't they? You don't accidentally point a laser pen at a flying aircraft, do you? I mean, there's no way that you could accidentally do it.
There's definitely a lot of hate for these people in the chat room. There's no doubt about that. Rich Adams makes a good comment.
Yeah, which is?
Can
we read it out?
No, okay. They should be dealt with very firmly.
Right. Okay. Good. Yes, I think we're all in agreement there.
Yeah, Lee Davies says in response to Captain Cruz actually that they should get a minimum of 5 years. I think
that's true.
That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll move on to the next story.
Yes, next story, Matt. You've got a COVID-19 story, but it's a techie one.
Indeed, yes, absolutely. So it is Ryanair, obviously, which is actually we haven't had a Ryanair story too for a little while, but the headline is Ryanair add adds COVID-19 travel wallet to mobile app. So this comes from thefuturetravelexperience.com, and the story goes, Ryanair has launched a COVID-19 travel wallet, allowing customers to upload health documents such as a negative PCR test and vaccination certificates. The airline says that the new COVID-19 Travellers Wallet will make travel as seamless as possible for customers. During the check-in process, passengers will be able to upload up to 6 documents to the Ryanair app. These could be negative COVID-19 test certificates. They could also be anything else that the government says that is required for travel, such as a declaration. The app functions as a virtual filing cabinet for the documents to ensure that they are readily available alongside the boarding pass. This is in contrast to apps such as Verifly, which is used by British Airways amongst others, as the Ryanair app will not verify the validity of such documentation, though it will indicate on the boarding pass whether documents have or have not been uploaded. So Dara Brady, who's the managing director at Ryanair, said, "We are delighted to launch the Ryanair COVID-19 travel wallet as we prepare for the return of family holidays this summer. Many Ryanair customers will be taking their first holidays in over a year. Adhering to new travel guidelines and the COVID-19 travel wallet will allow customers to store all of their COVID-19 documents such as PCR test results, passenger locator forms and vaccine certificates in one location with zero fuss or paperwork to worry about." We'll move straight on to story number 3, and Nev, it's sort of similar details really involving your favourite airline.
Yes, it is. And this information comes from the Yorkshire Post and BBC and findbiometrics.com. And BA is planning to make it easier for passengers to prove that they are safe to travel once they've been vaccinated against COVID. Under the plans, people will be able to register their vaccination status on the airline's app before being allowed to fly, including whether they've received 2 doses. Trials of the Verifly digital health app across all international flights operating into the UK with the carrier are continuing. The app will eventually allow those who register their health information, potentially including whether they have been vaccinated, to determine if they are eligible to fly to their chosen destination in accordance with the arrival country's eligibility criteria. At present, the Verifly app is optional for BA customers to use, though it does offer a streamlined travel experience, including health screenings and verification on arrival for those that do. The app also does not yet include the newly planned vaccination status information. BA CEO Sean Doyle said, "It's fair to say that Britain has developed a really strong leadership position in coming out the other end of the pandemic. What we want to make sure of is that we also take that leadership position into restoring travel and to restoring the economy." So, it looks like a lot of airlines now are realising, well, they've realised it earlier in the year, I'm sure, that if they're going to have any kind of late spring or summer traffic, that they have to find a way of getting people in and out of countries safely, but also legally as well. So I think these apps are a great idea, actually, or actually including your information as part of your app, therefore as part of your ticket.
Well, I hope I have my jabs before September, Nev, so I can have one of these apps for ready for the flights to Malta.
Yes. Yeah, see, now the only thing that worries me here is essentially we're talking about 2 stories, and I see why John's put these together now. So these are 2 stories essentially, both different airlines, but of course the only thing that worries me a little bit here is BA are at least trying to do some form of verifying the information that you've uploaded here. Now the one thing that bothers me a little bit about the Ryanair approach, and don't get me wrong, it's still a fantastic idea, but there's they're uploading documents basically into like it's literally like a filing cabinet, so you're just like taking a photograph of the documentation and you're storing it in there. Now, surely, am I being a little bit sort of over suspicious here, where I say that documentation could very easily be forged?
Well, let's put it this way: it's probably no different to the way that your passport is handled and that kind of thing. And don't forget, when you book your ticket to an international destination, you normally have to upload your passport information as well to the airline. And so I think that what's going to happen is that they will need to see evidence of this when you book the flight. So you'll need to upload all that information as part of the booking thing.
But it's very easy, obviously, to verify a passport, though, isn't it? Because there is a national database that you can... I mean, is there going to be a national database, for example, for all of us who have been lucky enough to already have the vaccine?
Well, there probably is already, and you can have a big conversation about data protection and all the rest of it, I'm sure. But no, I think that the only way that the airline industry is going to survive this year is that they have to have some method of doing this.
It's a bit like the yellow vaccination.
There's
John
the
is
yellow
saying
card thing.
Yeah.
I've got a yellow card for my yellow fever passport, which I needed to show when I went to Brazil a few years ago, vaccine role.
Yeah.
So, I think it's...
so two very interesting stories, but sort of two very different approaches, I suppose, is the best way to compare those stories. But hey, I mean, anything that makes it easier for people to get flying has got to be a good thing, I suppose, isn't it?
Totally. Yep, absolutely.
So moving on to the next story, and we've obviously seen fights breaking out between passengers on aircraft. It happens all very often, especially on some of the low-cost carriers, not mentioning any names. But this one is crew having fights. This comes to us from Asia Online and also scmp.com. And China's Donghai Airlines suspends pilot and male attendant after an alleged mid-air fight over a toilet.
Wow.
So, Chinese carrier Donghai Airlines on Sunday said it had suspended a male pilot and a male flight attendant after allegations the pair had assaulted each other during a flight. The assault started in an argument 50 minutes from landing on the flight DZ6297 from Nantong to Xi'an on February the 20th, according to Chinese media reports. The pilot, who was not identified, was using the bathroom when a first-class passenger wished to use the toilet. The pilot asked the passenger to wait by their seat, but was ignored by the passenger, according to social media posts about the incident. The pilot saw the passenger still standing at the door when leaving the lavatory and rebuked the attendant who oversaw the first-class cabin for not doing his job properly and affecting flying safety. The toilet argument soon spiraled out of hand and became a physical argument. Social media posts claimed that this was initiated by the pilot. In the resulting fight, the flight attendant's arm was broken while the pilot lost a tooth. The flight attendant was not allowed to return on the same flight. Donghai Airlines issued a statement on Sunday afternoon after the postings went viral on Weibo, confirming the assault and that the pair had been suspended from their job. The company attached high importance to the argument among the crew members during the flight and conducted a strict internal verification. Those staff members involved have been suspended and their job to ensure flight safety, the statement said. Investigation was launched with the Civil Aviation Administration of China, or the CAAC. Wu Xiu, a safety official with the CAAC, told reporters following the investigations, they will not, Wuxi say, the CAAC will not accept any application for new routes, thank you, John, or flights over time or charter flights from Donghai Airlines for an unspecified time as punishment. The pilot has had his flying license revoked, meaning he is unlikely to find any employment in civil aviation in mainland China again. The flight attendant was given an administrative punishment, Wu said, without elaborating on that. So, guys, fights.
I mean, first the. Oh, hello,
Captain Cruz.
Yeah.
Xi'an. Yes, Xi'an. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, in our producer's defence,
2 out of 3 in bad.
I can say in our producer's
I got 2
defence,
out of 3.
you had a load of files there that you could have listened to in advance.
2 out of 3. 2 out of 3. Come on.
Oh well, never mind. Bless him. John tried very hard. Everyone, he really did. Yeah, absolutely. There we go.
But I mean, a bloody nose or a cut finger, but this is broken arms and teeth.
It's a bit nasty, isn't it? It's a bit sort of get stuck in, isn't it?
I mean, Nev, you wouldn't get this on a BA flight.
Well, it depends on where it was operating from, I suppose. But no, I think that it's quite ironic, isn't it, that they were concerned about flight safety and it ends up with a punch up between the crew.
An unexpected twist. Yeah. I mean, broken arms and things in a punch up is. That's a bit more than a bit of slap and tickle, isn't it? I mean, that's quite
being serious
full
about
on. Yeah, indeed.
I'm just reading Richard Adams' comment in the chat room.
Okay, are we allowed to share it or not? Is it a bit questionable?
CAAC, great name for a safety organisation.
Yes.
CAC.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, hopefully this will be the last we see of this.
Yeah. Never mind. Okay.
Perhaps we'll have some passenger fights next.
I can say it makes a change from the norm, which is passengers all kicking off, isn't it? So I suppose that there is that. But
Lee Davies, I'm drinking Belhaven Best Draft.
Right. Okay.
It's quite nice, actually. Oh, sorry. So, Nev, moving on to you for the next story.
Do we get like sponsorship if you mention that out loud? No, okay. He's just after free beer. That's all he's after.
Yeah. So, Nev, there's some sim buying going on.
There is, yes. It's on flightglobal.com, and it says that Air Atlanta Icelandic has acquired one of British Airways Boeing 747-400 full flight simulators following the retirement of the type from the UK carriers fleet last year. Under a related agreement, the simulator will remain at BA's Global Learning Academy at London Heathrow, where the flag carrier's engineering team will host, maintain and recertify it for UK and European qualifications. The simulator, which has GE Aviation and Rolls-Royce engine capability, will also be available for hire by other airlines that operate 747 aircraft. Baldvin Mar Hermansson, who's the chief executive of the Icelandic airline, says with the purchase of the Boeing 747-400 simulator, Air Atlanta Icelandic is looking forward to further expanding its excellent cooperation with British Airways. The Atlanta Flight Academy will offer the 747-400 type rating as well as other training modules for both Air Atlanta Icelandic and third-party customers. BA has got 3 of these full flight simulators at its training centre, and the UK carrier decided to retire the type last summer, as we all remember, as a result of the changed outlook for air travel following the pandemic outbreak. And so in the Air Atlanta Icelandic fleet, they've got 13 747-400s, freighters, and there's one standard configuration, and they've got an A340-300. So it's good to see that at least they can make use of that 744 that's simulator that's at London Heathrow.
I was going to say, one of the interesting things, Nev, with this is that they've brought this sim off BA, but it's going to be, as you say, operated by BA still. But the Air Atlanta Icelandic are going to be obviously pimping this out as such to other airlines to use as well.
Yes.
Which they're few and far between.
In the freighter environment, there's still a lot of 747s out there.
There is, there is a lot. Yeah. So, Matt, you have the next story, and this is quite good. I do like this. I think John found this story, and this is about an airline that's going to have some quite nice seating.
Right, okay. So basically, and I'm going to have to get clarification to make sure I say this right, but basically it's from the simpleflying.com website, and the headline is, coming soon, an all-premium economy Airbus A350 startup airline. And I want to say Prague USA 1.1. I don't know if that's how I'm supposed to pronounce it.
Pragusa.
Yeah, Pragusa.1. Apologies if I've said that incorrectly. Do feel free to correct me. Obviously, that's why the chat room is awesome. So a new all A350 airline is coming, and its name is Pragusa.1. I don't know whether it's like the website, perhaps. I don't know if you put in Pragusa so it's Prague, PRAGUSA.ONE 1. So the ambitious carrier plans to base its operations out of Prague and Prague USE. I don't know. Anyway, they're planning to base their operations out of Prague and Dubrovnik, and will fly around the world with Airbus A350-900s. Most excitingly, the airline plans to outfit its wide bodies with an all-premium economy arrangement, offering a new take on affordable long-haul comfort. The airline, which is a British investment vehicle, wants to establish an airline of the same name using an air operator certificate. It will apply for next month in Croatia. With its Croatian AOC as an EU member state airline, Prague USA 1.1, Pragusa.1 would also then one base in Prague. Oh, they'd have a base, in Prague with the Czech Republic and a base in Dubrovnik Airport in Croatia. Both airports have already agreed to provide incentives for the airline. Each base would have 2 aircraft. The company name itself is a combination of the words Prague and Ragusa, which is the historical name for Dubrovnik. Out of its planned bases in Prague and Dubrovnik, Pragusa .1. I feel obliged to say the .1 for some reason. Plans to operate flights to New York, Tokyo, Beijing, Los Angeles, Singapore, Johannesburg, Chengdu, and Kuala Lumpur, which is some great destinations there. Anyway, the company is already in talks with Airbus to place an order for 4 A350-900s in a single class configuration, each fitted with 251 premium economy seats. The delivery of these A350s would take place in 2024. Dubrovnik and Prague would each receive 2 of these A350-900s. However, Pragusa.1 does not plan to wait until the A350s are delivered to start operations. It wants to start flying as soon as June 2021, and it plans to use wet leased aircraft to do so. The company is currently negotiating the wet lease of 2 Airbus A350-900s and 2 A330-300 aircrafts. Now that's absolutely that's really fascinating. And actually, we were sort of talking earlier, weren't we, about the the sort of transatlantic route. I mean, again, a short hop into Europe and then on to somewhere like New York, for example, is very appealing.
What interests me about this is that I can't think of another airline recently or ever possibly that has had an all premium economy configuration of the aircraft.
True.
That's pretty unique, I think, and I think as long as the ticket prices are sensible, they'll do really well with that operation. Definitely.
Wow, I mean, it's just I'm so desperate for some form of long haul transatlantic-y sort of like route to airline to just have some success, because there must be the potential there, mustn't there? Because there are lots of people who want to go to like Tokyo. I mean, there's some great destinations, isn't it? We're talking New York, Tokyo, Beijing. It's just La Compañía, from Captain Cruise, Company. Sorry, and is their configuration an all premium? Sorry, I'm really sorry. I can't hear John for some reason at the moment. I've got some problems. It was all business class. Sorry. Yeah. Now, didn't BA have one that was an all business class configuration?
The operation from City Airport to JFK was 32 all business class seats.
Yeah.
But this is the first airline I can think of that has got only premium economy. So
Indeed,
yeah.
in fact, Airline Alive has said that it's nice to see an airline going the opposite way, trying to improve passenger comfort instead of trying to cram more people in. I mean, you'd be forgiving, you sort of forgive these various airlines trying to cram more people in, especially if it's a new model and they're trying to make the transatlantic thing work. Well, I mean, I really hope it's a huge success because, as you say, it wouldn't take much to just have a quick hop, into Croatia and do the hop, to go to Dubrovnik and then on to New York or whatever. It really wouldn't take much at all, would it? Again, if the price is right, I guess.
Yeah, very true.
Indeed,
all about the price.
Indeed. In fact, I've got a couple of pictures here which I might just share with you if I can find the right tab of the possible branding, shall we say? This is what they're talking about.
I quite like it.
Yeah, it's quite colourful, isn't it? It's very sort of loud and shouty. It's got a real pride feel about it for me, but it is on the website. Apparently, that is.
Their website is up and running, but there's not a lot going on there.
Yeah. Oh, is there not? Right. Producer.one is the actual website. Well,
Producer.one. It's got a picture of their aircraft on there. There's also a little picture of the route maps and stuff on there on the website. But as yet, it's launching soon.
Lots of planning still going on. That's what it is. Lots of planning going on, isn't it?
Yeah. So the next one story is it's been around the news feeds quite a lot this week, and it's been mentioned on a few other shows as well. But this is brilliant. I love this. Comes to us from the independent.co.uk, NBC News, CBS News, and about every other news outlet in the entire world. So this is about a serial stowaway, Marilyn Hartman, who has been arrested yet again at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport. So serial stowaway who claims to have taken more than 30 flights without even having a ticket was arrested at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport this week. Marilyn Hartman faces criminal trespass charges for sneaking away from a safe haven halfway house about noon on Tuesday, according to a statement from the Cook County Sheriff's Office. She arrived at Terminal 1 around 1:30 in the afternoon, and an alarm siren was activated on Hartman's device, leading to her arrest by Chicago police before she could enter any secure areas, the sheriff said. The sheriff's office says it will seek approval for a felony escape charge against the 69-year-old. She's already facing a felony charge from a previous stowaway attempt. Hartman's latest escape comes 2 days after CBS Chicago released an interview with her. She said she began hopping on planes without a ticket back in 2002. The first time she was able to get through, she flew to Copenhagen. The second time, she flew into Paris. Hartman told CBS Chicago's Brad Edwards, who she began corresponding with in October 2019. Globetrotting remained out of security radar until 2014 in August, when she was caught flying from San Jose in California to Las Vegas. Her last international ride was to London in January 2018, where she boarded a $3,500 flight on a British Airways plane. Nev. But by then, she was on the radar of the TSA agents and was apprehended and brought back to the US and charged. Hartman told CBS News that I was always let through, she said. And I mean, I was able to go through security line without a boarding pass, she said. I got through security. This is the thing that is so crazy. By following someone that would be carrying like a blue bag, she said. And the next thing you know, she gets on the TSA line, and the TSA let her through, and they think that she's with the guy with the blue bag. The stowaway has spent time in custody in Cook County Jail, Chicago, on charges of theft, criminal trespassing, and probation violation. She's also receiving treatment for her bipolar disorder. Jeff Price, a professor at the Department of Aviation and Aerospace Science, Metropolitan State University, said that Mrs. Hartman's unsophisticated method highlighted the flaw at airport security procedures in a post 9/11. He also believes that Mrs. Hartman's got off easy because she looked like a grandmother. Wow.
And there's that assumption, I suppose, that all grandparents and things, there's you sort of assume butter wouldn't melt. I guess is that the excuse she said is essentially being used to get away with it.
Imagine, I mean, regardless of how many times she's done it, how much money has she saved?
Well, yes. But obviously, no points. That's the thing, though, isn't it? So missed out.
No points.
So, but she's got a lot of.
That's all Nev cares about.
This goes back to 2014, doesn't it? So
all he cares about is his gold points. Honestly.
Yes. Basically.
100%. Yeah.
It's just amazing that in this day and age this can happen or has happened. It makes me wonder whether I should just dress up as an old chap.
What you do at the weekend, Carlos, is your own business.
Lovely, absolutely. Well,
anyway,
a career in panto for you if you're going to dress up like that. Absolutely. I wonder if she got into business class airline.
There's only one of the PTUK team who has been a fully fledged panto person.
I didn't know Armando had done the pleasure. No. Okay. Anyway, moving on.
Anyway, Matt. Moving on to Nev for the next one, and bit of a sort of a historic story. Really.
Yes, well, this is interesting. On the simpleflying.com website, it says if you're based in Japan or passing through in the next few weeks, you might be able to get your hands on a piece of airline history. After 70 years of publishing its timetables in paper booklet form, the final edition of Japan Airlines timetable booklets is now in airports across the country. The airline began to print its timetable way back in 1951, when the timetable just had 12 flights. The booklets have grown as the airline and the aviation industry have grown, reflecting changes in demand. However, with so many last-minute changes, cancellations and additions to schedules over the past year, the airline has said that the time has come to end the tradition. The airline's timetable will now be available only online in digital form, in a statement today that Japan Airlines made. Paper booklets of timetables have been installed at airports and travel agency counters, but we will no longer be producing them. The reason is to reduce paper consumption, and due to the decrease in demand as a result of the spread of PCs and smartphones, in the future, please access from your computer or smartphone the flight and availability search function on the JAL website. Well, Japan Airlines was already looking to phase out its timetable booklets and to digitise schedules. All Nippon Airways had also phased out the booklets, with the last edition being printed in January. Although physical booklets are on the way out, most airlines still offer digital versions in PDF form. However, some airline alliances also provide online timetables, including Sky Team and Star Alliance. Historic airline timetable booklets have become collector's items, with many sold online at auction. Some of them available online dating back to the 1920s. Most old airline timetables can be picked up for around $10 online. However, some rarer timetable booklets are being sold online at around $500. And Imperial Airways summer 1925 airline was being sold at an online auction for $350 at the time of writing. So yes, I remember paper card-based timetable booklets as well. And the last one I had was from Scandinavian Airways back in the day. That's probably, that must be 20 years ago now, something like that. So we just don't even think about using that now, do we?
What do you reckon, Nev? I think everyone needs to check up in their lofts, or
I'm sure people still have them. Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be worth a few pound.
I mean, they're a wonderful piece of history, aren't they? But I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the majority of, okay, Nev, maybe you might be the exception where perhaps you have used one of these in the past. But I mean, I would certainly have never had a reason to use said booklet in order to sort of locate a flight. I mean, it's just, John's saying actually they were quite often something that you came across at travel agents if you went to sort of plan a holiday, I guess, especially where you used to build your own packages, I guess. I mean, I'm not surprised, and they are a nice nod to history, aren't they? They are a nice nod to the past.
So moving on to the last story this evening, and I really love this story, guys. If you're an airline and you wanted some really good PR, I think you need something like this in your lives. I think so. This one comes to us from this is a good website, boardpanda.com.
Right.
Yahoo.com and Facebook.com as well. So this is about Southwest. So an airline returns lost Buzz Lightyear in real life Toy Story.
Oh.
And honestly, there are some great pictures to go with this story. But the story is when a 2-year-old passenger left his Buzz Lightyear action figure behind on one of their planes, Southwest Airlines went to infinity and beyond to get it back to him. In a tale that sounds like something straight out of Toy Story. A young flyer named Hagen was recently traveling with his family to Dallas for a funeral. When they landed, he forgot to take his Buzz Lightyear toy with him. Hagen didn't even realize Buzz was gone until the family was in their rental car. That was too late. Even if they turned back, the plane had already departed for its flight to Arkansas. Normally, that would have been the end of the story. A Southwest employee named Jason found Buzz when the plane shut down for the night. And while Buzz knew to remain quiet in the presence of humans, he still provided a major clue to help Jason identify his owner. Hagen clearly learned from Toy Story's Andy, Hagen's name was on the bottom of Buzz's shoe. The plane travel logs for the day only listed one Hagen as a passenger. Not long after he lost Buzz, the young boy received a very special package indeed. It was adorned with the delightful artwork Southwest sent Buzz home, along with a note from the famed astronaut recounting his journey for Hagen, as well as some photos of him exploring the airport. And this is awesome, honestly. I mean, Southwest, I don't think they could pretty much do anything wrong. I mean, the airline is you know, they have great. I know they have great staff members in their teams and stuff there, but yeah, the pictures are brilliant. You know, this guy, the young child, I should say, 2-year-old, got his toy back. But there were some really great pictures. I think the guy had some fun, obviously taking these pictures of Buzz around the airport. What do you think of this, Nev?
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, really, really nice. And yeah, great to have a nice story, isn't it?
It's always nice to have an "and" finally, isn't it? As they used to on ITN. But I mean, obviously, the kid is only 2 years old now. I mean, he's not going to fully appreciate what's been involved here, you know. But what an amazing story, you know. Perhaps in a few years' time, when he's old enough to appreciate it, that'd be absolutely amazing. It's Mark Priestley suggested this could be the start of another Toy Story film. There's a lot to be said for that.
They should do an aviation-based Buzz Lightyear story.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, as well, you know, Southwest have made the story for them by the sound of it. So it's.
You know, I have never flown. I mean, I've flown a few of the American-based carriers, but I've never flown Southwest, and I want to at some point in the future. So, never you ever flown Southwest?
No, I haven't actually. No, I've tended to stuck with the big regulars, the legacy carriers, if you like. But no, I mean, Southwest is a great operation, isn't it? So, yeah, I'd love to fly them one day.
Yeah, they seem to do things well. No doubt about it.
Yep.
How refreshing.
I know. Moving on to the next part of the show then. That's the commercial news done for this week. So I hope you enjoyed that. We have got a very special segment up next, and it's back again this week with the Plain Truths. And this week, Matt sits down with Captain Al, and they're going to talk about all things to do with assigned call signs and the sometimes mix-ups with the call signs. So here we go.
Hello and welcome to another Plain Truths, and this week we're going to be talking about call signs. Joining me, as always, is the legend that is Captain Al. Hi, Captain Al.
A very good evening, Matt. How are you?
Yes, good, thank you. Not too bad at all. So, yes, listen, call signs. So how do flights get assigned their flight numbers and their call signs? And are there any duplicates?
Good question. So let's look at sort of general aviation. So if we're just sort of pootling around in a little aeroplane, each aircraft, whether it be big, small or medium, has a registration. So that's the country of registration, in our case in the United Kingdom, G as in golf. and then 4 letters. So that's the registration of the aircraft. So for general aviation, we usually use the registration as our radio call sign. So in the case of a little aeroplane, Golf Alpha Victor Sierra Delta, that would be your radio call sign for that aircraft. When we get into airline flying, it's nice to have a little bit more kind of situational awareness. So Golf Alpha Victor Sierra Delta tells me absolutely nothing about what that aircraft is, who it's being flown by, as in which airline. So that's where we end up having airline call signs. So, for example, Speedbird, which would be British Airways, or if you really want to be, kind of ingenious and creative, you can go Delta for Delta. So,
forgive my naivety here. So, how did BA end up with the call sign of Speedbird?
Because that nice little swanky Speedbird symbol on their logo is the Speedbird logo, so that's where they end up with Speedbird. Because when British Airways was formed by the conglomerate of BOAC and BEA and whatever, that's what they came up with, that little snazzy logo thing. Gave it the title of Speedbird, and that's how it came the call sign.
Okay.
So if you want to have your own call sign, as it were, rather than using your aircraft registration, you have to apply for that. So you write off to ICAO and you say, look, this is us, this is our business, and we want to use this call sign. And you define where you are going to operate. So you might say, our business just operates in Europe, or you might be worldwide. And ICAO will look at that and they'll go, okay, well, there's no one with the call sign of Flying Goat within Europe, so you can have, the call sign Flying Goat. And then basically, once that's done, you can then have a suffix. So it could be, Flying Goat 1, Flying Goat 2, or anything really of your choosing, as long as it fits within the criteria of the flight plan character limitation. And I can't remember exactly how many are. I've got a feeling it's 7. So each call sign is abbreviated. So, for example, Speedbird is abbreviated to BAW as the flight plan. So when air traffic controllers see BAW and some numbers, they know that that is Speedbird. They used to have to remember it all. These days, the air traffic control computers are quite clever, so it'll just give it them as a little pop-up box. So, for example, if you were, say, operating flight BA 1676 from Manchester to Geneva, then your call sign would probably be Speedbird 1676. That makes everything nice and simple. Up until the point where the density of traffic throughout the world became much, much greater. So you might have a Speedbird 1676, and then you might have an EasyJet 1676 and a Ryanair 1676 and a Speedbird 1676. And even though they don't sound the same, you can start to see how people would just hear 1676 and assume it's them. So you can start to get some sort of call sign confusion. Big problem in Europe. So the airlines in Europe have to basically have their call signs validated by Eurocontrol. And what Eurocontrol do is they look at the route that you're flying and the times and the days, and they go, okay, let's look for conflicts. And you might say, okay, we want to operate Speedbird 1676 from Manchester to Geneva, and you send your details through to Eurocontrol, and they'll come back and they'll go, no, you're going to be allocated this call sign, so you'll become the Speedbird 12 Alpha Charlie. And you go, okay, fine. And that will be when you're sort of basically submitting these for a series of flights. It's not done on a daily basis. So for the entire season or year or whatever, the Manchester to Geneva 1676 flight will become the, the Speedbird, wherever I said, 14 Alpha Charlie. And they're connected to the flight, not the aircraft, because of course, the flight plan is what you're going to do. You can change the aircraft, but the call sign, if you like, is associated with a flight plan.
With that particular route.
You could change aircraft, but it would still be the same flight plan, more or less, and the same call sign. So it's all designed to try to minimize confusion. Now, there are certain airlines around the world that have call signs that are easily confused, and sometimes airlines are required to change their call sign. So at one point in their history, Thomas Cook had the call sign of Globe, and Thomas Cook's parent company was German. And one of the things that they discovered was that German air traffic controllers can't say the word globe, and it used to come out as glob.
Right.
And a lot of people didn't like that, so they ended up changing it. And lots of airlines have had various sort of call sign changes. There are some in the UK dedicated call signs for members of the royal family. So when they're on board an aircraft, the aircraft will take on board that call sign. I think that may well be something that doesn't necessarily happen so much these days for security reasons, but certainly in the past that was the case. So that's kind of the basic nuts and bolts of the call signs. There's all sorts of weird and wonderful call signs, and there have been some really quite snazzy ones. There used to be an airline, I think it was VLM's call sign, and their call sign used to be Coast Rider, which I quite liked. There is, or used to be, a air taxi operator down in Bournemouth whose call sign was Flying Goat. Don't know why.
I can say, yeah.
I think Virgin America used to have the call sign of Redwood, I think because of the connection with Washington State. There are some quite nice ones. I've always quite liked the BA1 of Speedbird. There was a couple of variations that BA had. So BA had the concession to be able to use the Santa call sign. So when BA used to do their flights up to Lapland, they would be Santa 1, Santa 2, etc.
So quite often on the show, we've featured air traffic control recordings. And for example, you'll hear, Speedbird 38 as an example, and then they'll say the word heavy on the end of it, or the Speedbird 38 super. What do those two words mean? What is the difference?
Okay, so what we have there is a suffix to the call sign that indicates a heavy or super wake turbulence category. So for heavy aircraft, because more often than not, all aircraft need to be separated from each other by wake turbulence category, but heavy aircraft will be flying around the skies with sort of medium aircraft. So as an example, an A320, 321 are all medium-sized aircraft. A 330 is a heavy aircraft, and it's to do with the wake turbulence spacing. So if you're flying a heavy aircraft or a super aircraft, and that would be an A380, they require additional wake turbulence spacing behind them. So in most parts of the world, if you're operating a heavy aircraft, on your initial contact with ATC, if you're flying a heavy or a super aircraft, you will suffix your call sign with that information, just to remind the controller that you're a heavy wake turbulence category or a super wake turbulence category. Typically in Europe, the air traffic controllers already know because it's shown on their radar display. Not quite so sophisticated in the United States. So it is a requirement by federal aviation regulations that all transmissions from aircraft that are heavy or super category have that as part of their transmission. So if you're featuring recordings from the United States, it will always be Virgin 75 heavy, even if it's the 20th time that the guy has spoken to that controller, because it's a requirement. Over here in Europe, it would only be on the initial contact with a controller, and it's simply just an advisory of your wake turbulence category.
Wow, as always, Captain Al, fascinating. Many thanks.
It's a pleasure.
Oh, fantastic series! I'm glad that we have that back. Actually, it's a lot of fun, isn't it? And learning so much. Actually, I just wanted to say also that I won't go into details, but I just want to say from all of the PT UK team that we're all thinking of Captain Al, obviously, and his wonderful family today. So we won't go into details more than that because it's not our place to say so. But yes, we're all thinking of Captain Al and his family at the moment. Has your dad seen this the new series yet?
He's not seen this. He's not seen this one because I normally ping him the link across.
You do,
so
yes. You're very naughty.
Yeah. I haven't got round to it this week. I feel really guilty actually, but he actually did ping me on just before I was having tea downstairs early and just said, you got the show tonight? I says, yes, Dad, got the show tonight. There is another Plain Tales coming up.
Don't panic, right? Okay,
don't panic.
It's not Plain Tales.
Well, Plain Truths.
That's something else
Truths.
entirely. That's a totally different podcast.
actually, on the note of pilot stuff, I might just say another quick congratulations as well, because Stuart O'Neill, who we all know and love, who runs a particular restaurant in town where we are here,
of which I had a meal from on Sunday.
Which you had a meal from
Sunday,
yeah. Stuart is celebrating at the moment a kind of his 1 year sitting left seat. So
wow!
He's been sitting left seat now for a year with his airline.
Hasn't that 12 months gone past?
I know.
It's weird, isn't it? Like, we were having a bit of a chat, weren't we? In between that, actually saying that I think this last lockdown has been very, very hard for a lot of people. I think it fair to say a lot of people have found this particular one probably far harder than the ones during the year and that. So there are times where you just think, I can't believe how slowly this year has gone. And then when you discover that it was only a year ago that Stuart took his first command, in the left seat of an aircraft, and you think, wow, that was only a year ago. I mean, it's just mad. It's gone so quick.
I know he's really enjoyed. He spoke to me on the phone at the beginning or middle of the week, and he just said he's really enjoying everything. Still, he's getting obviously getting lots of flying in because his airline is still very busy. At the moment, and he's loving life. He's actually based over in Ireland, actually, Matt. So
yes, absolutely, yeah. He's Northern Ireland, is he?
Derry is.
Derry, yes. So Northern Ireland rather than down, proper Ireland, as I call it.
Yes, but he's very much loving flying the Embraer. Anyway,
it's a nice aircraft. I think it was an Embraer that I did my little hop when we went to Pittsburgh, when I went from
it was actually,
Washington Dulles, as I always call it, or Dulles if you want to give it in my defence, I'd only just got off my worst ever experience of a 757 at the time, so it's just
you can't leave it, can you?
No, I can't. I'm very bitter about it. Did anyone notice?
Well, I'll tell you, one of my best flights was in a 757 with Air 2000. I'll have you know, back in the day.
Well, as I say, it was a 757 and arrived at Washington Dulles Airport. I mean, that says it all. No, shall we move on? Should we do some military?
Actually, Rick Bell is asking, did Matt say why he has Silverstone as his background?
No, I didn't.
No, okay. I didn't. I've just got this here because I'm just sort of, big upping Nev, So yes.
It was a picture that was sent to us by one of our listeners, which I really liked. So he sent us several, and so that's why I've chosen that one, because I think
very good.
It's a race course that I have had the privilege of going to once.
Before we move on to the military, just as a quick note on that as well, if you want to see your picture, if you can take some good aviation pictures, which most of our listeners do, take some awesome pictures, and you want to see a picture behind me, Matt, or Nev, just send them in to the show. All the details will be at the end of the show. If you want to send us an email, you can even WhatsApp, can't they, Matt?
They can, yes. +44 757 224 9166.
Well done.
Yes.
And a big hello as well, actually, to Leo Bramley, who's just joined us in the chat room. So hello to you, Leo.
Indeed. Actually, it's another good reason to have mentioned Silverstone, as John's just reminded me. Lee Davis has just said in the chat room there, is actually, of course, because we lost Murray Walker this week, didn't we?
We did. Very sad indeed, yeah.
what a voice that was, wasn't it? I mean, I'll never ever. I think one of the first times it was, for those of you don't know, he was a sports racing commentator that was. I mean, he was predominantly heard here in the UK. An absolute legend, and most of the English-speaking world would be familiar with his voice if they ever listened to the Grand Prix. And it was that full, and there goes Damon. You know, it was that full sort of like real enthusiasm type thing. So anyway, that's legend. That's legend. A much better reason than the one I gave as to why I've got a picture of Silverstone on there.
Lee Davis is just saying, Matt, you said the WhatsApp number too quick.
My apologies. +44 757 2249166.
There we go. Right, we haven't got Armando with us this week, but we have.
So good luck, everyone. Yes,
we have got a military segment. So if everyone's ready, let's do some.
Nev can't wait. Can you, Nate? You're on.
Look at him. He's on a coiled cobra.
I don't know what to do with that information.
So I'm just on flight radar 24.
Oh, any specific reason?
There's a China Southern. Sorry. It's quite low. It's not low actually. It's just flying right over the house. But anyway,
I know. Is it military?
It's not military.
No, we're too late then. Move on.
It's an A330. No. It's blinking noisy, I tell you.
Right.
Anyway.
Okay.
So our first.
Is it grey?
No.
Right. Move on.
No. It's on the aviationist.com website. This one, and brilliant news following on from last week's awesome show. The Italian Navy's first female strike fighter pilot earns wings of gold after training with the VT-9 NAS Meridian. So Italian Navy Ensign Erika Raballo was designated a naval aviator, becoming the service's first female strike fighter pilot. The first female strike fighter pilot in history of the Italian Navy, or the Marina Militare. Received wings of gold after completing undergraduate flight training with the Tigers of Training Squadron VT-9 at Naval Station Meridian, Mississippi on March the 11th, 2021. Ensign Erika Raballo was designated a naval aviator during a small winging ceremony at the base chapel, with 5 classmates marking a significant milestone in Italian and US naval aviation history. They said, we are all incredibly proud of Ensign Raballo, VT-9 Commanding Officer Commander Megan Armando said in a public statement. She has proven she is capable, competent, and warfighter ready to take her strike aviation training to the next level. She and her classmates worked hard to get to this point, and what they can and will accomplish in the future is limitless. So approximately 10 Italian Navy officers are sent to the US each year to begin pilot training under Chief of Naval Air Training. Ensign Raballo from Alba in northwestern Italy completed primary flight training in a T-6B Texan 2 turboprop trainer aircraft with the shooters of VT-6 under training Air Wing 5 at NAS Whittingfield, I think that's how you say it, in Milton, Florida. Then she reported to VT-9 to join a class of new generation strike fighter pilots qualifying on state-of-the-art aircraft launch and recovery equipment used on aircraft carriers such as the USS Gerald R. Ford, CVN 78, and all future Gerald R. Ford class carriers. The Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, or EMALS, and Advanced Arresting Gear, AAG. She completed T-45C carrier qualifications on Ford in the Atlantic Ocean off Florida's coast in February on the 5th, which she said was her favorite part of the strike pilot training pipeline. Landing on the aircraft carrier for the first time was mind-blowing, Raballo said. she was so nervous at first, and she had to say thank you to all her pals or paddles, landing signal officers, Lieutenant Alan Voden and Lieutenant Sean Lawrence, she said, for all the patience and effort they put into preparing her skill-wise and mentally for the big challenge. Hats off to her. Well done. Very good indeed. That's good to see. This thing should be happening all the time, not just once in the blue moon. But good honour.
Yeah, indeed. The marvellous thing about our WhatsApp number that I gave out at the top of that story is that listeners will send us in some pictures on the fly. And the very aircraft that you were talking about just a moment ago, sent in by Nick Codling. There we go. That is the actual aircraft you were talking about and where it was.
Very good.
That's what I call service, isn't it? Indeed. Yeah. Yes. Now, Rick. Oh, right. So, Rick Bell.
Whitingfield.
Okay. Right.
Thank you, Whitingfield, Rick Bell. Thank
Indeed,
you, Whitingfield.
Yeah, absolutely. John's exasperated in our ear here.
That is why, Rick Bell, we need you over here.
Yes, that's
to join us.
Indeed.
On a huge beer sesh.
It would be bad form of me to point out another mispronunciation.
Oh dear.
When Carlos said Arkansas when he meant to say Arkansas.
Arkansas. Oh, blimey.
Sorry.
Moving on to the next story, which Matt will ruin. I'll get right.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I think Carlos has been drinking. I think that's all I can think of. No, whatever. Okay. So the next military story is on the airforce-technology.com.
I hope there's some hard words in here.
I don't. And the headline is contract notice hints US could field a new fighter by 2029. So a US Department of Defense contract notification has offered a hint that the US could field a new aircraft fighter by fiscal year 2029. The $74 million contract notice with Raytheon for the AIM-120 Advanced Medium Range Air-to-Air Missile, that's AMRAAM, aircraft integration, mentions a number of existing airframes but leaves the option open for future integration onto current or next generation fighters before the close of fiscal year 2029. The contract notice reads that the contract will provide the necessary aircraft lab, flight test, flight clearance and simulation support during all integration requirements in the AMRAAM for the F-15, F-16, FA-18, F-22, F-35 and other current inventory or next generation platforms that may join the Air Force or Navy inventory before the end of fiscal year 2029. Currently, the US Air Force is engaged in an effort to develop a 6th generation fighter jet under its next generation air dominance program. That's the NGAD. I suppose sort of these technologies do need to be retrofitted, I guess, don't they? You sort of want all of these aircraft to. I mean the F-15. I mean that aircraft, for example, has been around 4 years, hasn't it? I mean it's quite an old aircraft, isn't it? The F-15, but to be able to sort of retrofit these new items, I think is the way forward.
The thing of it is that they're trying to keep these aircraft not just flying for
current,
many years,
yeah.
but they're improving and adding new and upgrading a lot of these aircraft a lot of the time. So you are, and plus the fact that they last forever anyway. These aircraft are built to last. You've only got to look at the B-52 to see that.
Yeah, well, I think John said in our ear that the F-15 was like built back in the 70s. I'm sure Rick would correct us on that. But as I say, I even remember having an F-16 flight simulator for my Atari 520 ST. So I mean that goes to show how long that aircraft has been around. So that's sort of like mid-80s at the very, very earliest, so or very latest. Sorry. So there we go. It's as you say, it sort of makes sense, doesn't it, for these things to be retrofitted, doesn't it?
So Nev, you've got the next story about another F.
Yes, And I'm very pleased to say that Armando has been listening to me, because he's actually given me a story to read out without any acronyms in.
Oh, how wonderful.
Compared to so many other military stories where there are so many and you have to explain what they are, and I'm not very good at that, I have to say. So I'm very pleased that he's carefully chosen this one. This is on the af.mil website, and it says that the US Air Force receives its first F-15EX, and they accepted this from Boeing on March the 10th at the company's St. Louis facility. The new fighter is a two-seat aircraft, though it can be operated by a single pilot with fly-by-wire flight controls, digital cockpit displays, and advanced avionics systems to include the Eagle passive active warning system and survivability system. An electronic warfare upgrade also being fielded on the F-18E Strike Eagle models. This is a big moment for the Air Force, says Colonel Sean Dory, who's the F-15EX program manager with the Air Force Life Cycle Management Center's Fighters and Advanced Aircraft Directorate, responsible for the acquisition, modernisation and sustainment of the aircraft. With its large weapons capacity, digital backbone and open architecture, the F-15EX will be a key element in our tactical fighter fleet and complement fifth-generation assets. In addition, it's capable of carrying hypersonic weapons, giving it a niche role in future near-peer conflicts. Following its acceptance, the new aircraft will be flown to Eglin Air Force Base, Florida, for testing. A second F-15EX will be delivered to the Air Force Base by the end of April 2021. The other 6 Lot 1 aircraft will be delivered to Eglin Air Force Base in the fiscal year 2023 and will undergo operational testing. The Air Force plans to acquire 144 of these aircraft from Boeing to replace the F-15C/D models and refresh the F-15 fleet. That is some purchase order for someone to write out, isn't it? 144 F-15EXs, please.
As you do.
Damn big checkbook as well. You need a lot of space.
True. Yeah, lots of space for zeros.
Lots of space for zeros. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, indeed.
Don't know where they got this money from, I tell you.
Well, I mean, it is a government. I mean, it's probably, they probably don't write checks now, do they? It's probably some kind of bank transfer.
Bank transfer,
yeah. Absolutely. Oh, so Mike is saying in the chat room here that the F-15EX is another example of an aircraft that came about because the F-35 is not as capable nor as far along as anticipated. Oh, that's interesting. Really is. Indeed, yeah. Mark is agreeing also in the chat room. So it's we rely very much on our chat room when we don't have an Armando, don't we?
I think Lane's comment is very important as well.
Oh,
in
no.
the chat room.
I'm slightly scared.
I don't know if you've seen it. He says, "Yay, a Brit finally said St. Louis correctly."
Oh,
that's very nice.
Oh, now that is praise indeed. Absolutely. Right. Good. Yes. Okay. Good. Lovely. And moving on, Carlos, you've got the last story.
Perhaps there's going to be a special show coming up soon, the pronunciation special.
Ooh.
Anyway,
right, that'll basically just be you then. So... yeah.
Oh,
no. John's saying something about pigs flying and Carlos reading show notes.
Yeah, something about reading show notes. I mean, I could go back a long way about reading show notes, but anyway, we're not going to go there. This story comes to us from from AlJazeera.com, and it's sad news, this one. This is 4 people have been killed as a military transport plane crashes. So 4 people have been killed and 2 more injured after a military plane crash while trying to land in Kazakhstan's largest city, Almaty, authorities said. According to preliminary data, 4 people have passed away and 2 injured were sent to the nearest hospital, the emergency ministry said in a statement on Saturday. The AN-26 military aircraft was travelling to Almaty from the capital Nur Sultan the ministry in the Central Asian country said. The plane belonged to the Central Asian country's border guard agency that is part of the National Security Committee, according to Russia's Interfax news agency. Communication with the aircraft ceased at 17:20 p.m. local time, or 11:20 GMT, during the landing approach at the Almaty airport. The airport said, according to that, the aircraft crashed at the end of the runway. The cause of the crash was not immediately clear. The Russian news agency Interfax reported that the aircraft belonged to, as we said, the Kazakhstan Border Guard Agency. But there are some images on the site aljazeera.com. We'll put the links in the show notes to this. But this particular aircraft, I've just done a little bit of a quick whiz to see when this or how old this aircraft is. No, I didn't do that, what you're thinking. A quick look on the interweb, and the AN-26, first introduced into service way before me and Matt were even thought of, back in 1970. But introduced into service, but first flew in 1969 in May, being used currently by the Soviet Air Force, Pakistan Air Force, and the Vietnamese Air Force. And there was just under 1,500 of these actually produced over the course of their time. But from the pictures that are on the website, it's not a good ending really for this aircraft.
No, indeed. We do have some pictures, but we've chosen not to share them really, obviously, because it is all very. They are out there if you want to go and find them, but we've made the decision not to share them with you, I'm afraid, on this occasion.
So we have got a very special segment coming up next on the show. So this is going to be the George Lee MBE, and this is part number 11. Second to last part in the series this is. In this part, George talks about flying with the famous Mr. Sato of the Japanese glider manufacturer Baron Hilton of the Hilton family, and about earning his prestigious 1,000-kilometer gliding award.
You did manage to get a little bit of gliding in, though, with the wonderful Mr. Sato in Japan. And with the Barons in America, it sounded like you had made some good friends in the gliding world.
Yeah, there were some gliding events, Nick. The gliding in Japan was very interesting. I was introduced to him through the chief designer that I mentioned before. He knew him well. And Akira Sato was a lovely, lovely, lovely man. Spoke very little English, but we managed. And I would request the freighter pattern up through Taipei to arrive in Tokyo Narita as the curfew was finishing and the first arrivals coming in. Been up all night, go and have a shower, get changed, take a train into Tokyo. There was Mr. Sato on the platform waiting for me, and he would drive me out to Sekiado, which was the principal gliding airfield, and had some gliding. There was one very funny but not funny incident on one of the visits, because we're driving out to Sekiado, and Mr. Sato, in his broken English, is trying to get something across to me. And he's sort of saying, Mr. Lee, this time when we come back, we have party. Oh, right. Anyway, we drive back into central Tokyo. He parks the car at his place of work. We take a lift upstairs. Now I'm getting very nervous. We get out of the lift, down this corridor, and he opens the doors into this big room, and I nearly dropped. All around this room, there were a lot of people in lounge suits with their good lady wives, a big table in the middle, groaning with food and drink. And one by one, they all bowed and introduced themselves and went right round the room. And then Mr. Sato says, "Okay, Mr. Lee, you make a speech." I'm in my scruffy gliding gear, and I mean scruffy gliding gear. I felt awful. Anyway, George made speech, and we had a good evening. So that was funny. The Baron Hilton was a pinch me, this can't be real experience. As a world champion, I was invited on this experience, first of all to Las Vegas, whereas put up in, of course, a Hilton hotel, treated like royalty, limo pickup, taken to show in the evening, the best seat in the house, of course. All amazing experiences. Finally drove out to the airport, little red carpet up to this, this airplane, and flown out to his private ranch called the Flying M Ranch. Baron Hilton, very generous man, very hospitable, aviation, very big aviation enthusiast. And the day would start, one would have a choice of activities, whether you want to go and do some fly fishing on his trout stream, or go, take a hot air balloon ride, or perhaps go up for an aerobatics ride in an aerobatics machine, while everybody, the workers, would be getting the gliders ready. And then when the time was right, we were transported over the other side of the airfield, all the seating outside this huge RV, and lunch was served. And after that, we then finally went to the gliders and got in and did some flying. It was an extraordinary experience, absolutely extraordinary. But gee, somebody had to do it. It was a great pleasure, and totally unrepresentative of normal gliding, but a very special, wonderful experience. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, you were persuaded, I think, against your better judgment, to go to Australia for the 1987 World Championships. And whilst your heart may not have been entirely in it, you still placed in the top 10. But more importantly, for me, Australia seems to have been worming its way into your heart.
Well, as I said, Nick, I knew Australia fairly well. The World Championships did not go at all well for me. The weather was difficult, not strong regular weather, far from. But beyond that, for the first time in all my gliding, I actually had crew personality problems, which was totally unexpected, came from left field. My regular crew chief had never met this Aussie guy who I knew quite well, but there was a big generation gap, and my regular crew chief was the chief. He was the boss on the ground. And anyway, it never really totally got resolved, and that didn't help either, frankly. But I'm not making excuses. I wasn't up to the mark, and I knew it. I got a couple of daily seconds, but overall, no. But Australia, it more and more, yes, I guess it was drawing. There were just so many positives about it. The thought, with due respect to you and everybody over there, the thought going back to Northern European weather didn't draw greatly. And we'd lost touch with the UK, and Maren didn't want to go back to Norway. And so Australia, yeah. And then it was a matter of where are we going to set everything up, because I had this pipe dream of what I wanted to do in retirement, at least for the first 10 years. And that was giving experienced junior glider pilots, and I'm talking about experienced, free advanced coaching in my self-launch high-performance two-seater, because that's the airplane I wanted. And that gave them challenges. Certainly many had never seen it, and it was a challenging aircraft to fly. So the whole concept, I got two 800-meter by 4-meter wide bitumen strips laid down, got a hangar put up, and the whole thing worked exactly as planned, which was a wonderful feeling and very rewarding. And not that I can claim much on his achievement, but one of my students went on from training with me to actually win a World Championships in the club class down in South Australia. So that was very pleasing for me, obviously, to see him accomplish that. And the flying was very rewarding to see people's performance improve. Yeah, you've been an instructor, Nick. You know how rewarding that sort of thing is.
Absolutely. Now, your property near Dalby in Queensland, it seemed to be the perfect choice to set up your gliding school, and you gave it the perfect name, Plain Soaring. It seemed to be that this was the pinnacle of your gliding time, really, from a satisfaction point of view, a kind of dream come true. But you had your problems. I mean, there seemed to be a lot of floods. Your belongings took a long time to get there. That's pretty normal. There were snakes. You weren't feeling very well. Must have been quite an achievement to set that place up.
Challenging in the extreme initially, Nick. I was not at all well physically, and all I could see was monstrous problems and no way over or around them, frankly. And it was hot. We arrived in summer, stinking hot. And one day, the guy who had been leasing the whole property while we were in Hong Kong, I remember meeting him one day and just having a cry on his shoulder. And he just reminded me, and he said, well, look, think about it. He said, it's not every day, you know, that somebody retires, because that alone, it can be a stressful thing, migrates to essentially a new country, gets a new house built, and has an airfield constructed, etc., etc. And I said, thank you, Paul. I feel a lot better now. You're absolutely right.
But there was one little gem in your time, particularly in your early time there in Australia. You had one gliding goal yet to achieve, and that, I believe, was the 1,000-kilometre task, and you managed that in Australia. Can you describe that flight to us?
Yes, that was an amazing experience. To fly a 1,000-kilometre flight using purely thermals is a very big achievement, even today, never mind back then. And there were two other pilots there at the time in an airfield called Waikerie in South Australia. And they were going to try for their 1,000 as well on the same day. So the manager of the airfield, dead now, sadly, Maury Bradney, very experienced man, he had the three gliders out on the runway very early indeed, had the takeoff sequence. The other two pilots were happy to do what we call in gliding a yo-yo task, that is multi-leg sort of back and forth type task. But that wasn't for me. I wanted the proper big FAI triangle, nothing less would do. So I was going to be on my own from the very beginning to the very end. And I remember just getting towed up to 1,000 meters, not feeling a ripple on the tow up. I thought, oh. 1,000 meters, that's the altitude for start, 80 knots, pull the bung, immediately, don't mess around, point down the first leg, best glide angle speed, and off we go. So 2,500 feet, nothing. 2,000 feet, nothing. 1,500 feet, nothing. So I'm looking at the paddocks, as we call them down here, very closely. And then about 1,200, 1,100 feet, I get the first burbles and murmurings of an early thermal. Get into it, it develops. I say, oh, Maury, you're a genius. having said less flattering remarks prior. So climb up and then on we go. It wasn't an outstanding, I'm not just being whatever here, false modesty, whatever, but it wasn't an outstanding day. Australian standards, no way. And then I'm going along, and the second turning point was a place called Hay in New South Wales. Now, this is a long way away from Waikerie, and I'm suddenly thinking, I remember a question I forgot to ask Maury. That is, what's the latest time I should consider turning Hay or pulling the pin before I get there, sort of thing. And I hadn't, and I did some quick mental sums. It was about 400 plus kilometers from Hay back to Waikerie. I thought, as long as I turn by 5:15, I should be right. And I turned just before that, and off we went. Now I had the advantage of a slight quartering tailwind, so that was beneficial. But the thermals were blue, which makes it harder. You don't have the cumulus to mark the lift, so that therefore your progress is slower. Anyway, I'm going along. Finally, I get in contact with these other guys on the yo-yo task, and they said, where are you? And I told them, and they said, oh, you should have a good chance of making it home. And got my last thermal, knew I had it in the bag. In fact, I put lots of extra fat safety on the altitude, glid home, landed, and just collapsed in that cockpit. I was utterly exhausted. And the wife of one of the other two pilots ran over to meet me with the most wonderful beer. And I just sat there and drank the beer. And eventually we got back to the clubhouse. Maury looked at the barograph, camera, films, everything. He said, it's good, you got it. So, and that was a UK record at that time. So speeds have changed enormously. Back then I did about 110 kilometers an hour for the task. But performances have improved so much these days. Yeah. Quite different speed.
That's a lovely story. Now, you ran your last course at Plain Soaring in 2011. What have you been doing since?
Well, welcome to our London studios. Welcome to the A320 Lounge webinar tech presentation, obviously for the 320 series.
Welcome to the A320 and 737 Lounge, bringing technical refresher courses directly to you. Using our cutting-edge broadcasting facilities, enjoy a fully interactive technical refresher course from the comfort of your own home. All of our webinars are live and you can ask your instructor a question at any point during the day. All of our instructors are highly experienced and can help you. No more expensive nights away from home, no new software required, just an internet connection. Courses are run at regular intervals, so check out A320 Lounge and 737lounge.com for more details.
And there we go. There we go. I say it's very sad that there's only one more left to go of that, really. But it's been a great series. I can't wait to release it on YouTube, actually. Yeah, great comments in the chat room. It's been really fascinating. Do you know what's been so nice as well? Because don't get me wrong, he's had a fascinating military career as well. But it's been nice to talk about gliding because it's a route that
quieter.
well, it is quieter, yes. But I mean, it's a route that a lot of people sort of use to join the world of aviation, isn't it? And so many people that we know started their career in gliders. I mean, I know Pip, for example, he's a big fan of gliding. And it's been so nice to hear about someone, especially like a world champion as well. It's just so cool. I mean, such a 3-time world champion. I'm being reminded in my ear. It's been a fascinating career. It really has. As I say,
one of those lists. I think one of my things on the list to do. Nev, would you like to have a?
Mark's saying he did 3 flights in a glider with this guy who has nerves of steel. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. Right.
Nev.
I think also the other thing I was just about to say is that Richard Adams sums it up very nicely. He said he's so modest despite his incredible achievements.
Agreed.
Yes,
absolutely.
So I couldn't agree more.
Completely agree there, yeah.
So,
now we have got some breaking news. Nev,
yes. We've just been made aware of this on simpleflying.com website. It says intruder breaches perimeter fence at Dublin Airport. And there was some drama at Dublin Airport earlier after intruder was filmed running around along the secure area's perimeter fence. It seems that the intruder did not impact airfield operations at the airport's tower, and they continue to allow traffic to land on the active runway. It's not exactly clear what circumstances led to an intruder entering the secure area at Dublin Airport earlier today. But at around 5:10 local time, a man in beige trousers, a black t-shirt and an orange jacket was filmed running along the inside of the airport's perimeter fence. According to recordings on liveatc.net, the tower controllers at the time of the incident were aware that it was unfolding. They cautioned an arriving Virgin Atlantic aircraft, saying, Virgin 521, just for your information, we've had reports of an intruder on the airfield and we're unsure as to whether or not the personnel are within the flight strip of runway 28 left, and we'll keep you advised. So, I don't know how they managed to get onto the inside of the perimeter fence, either intentionally or unintentionally. But, not ideal.
I think he was just, I think he's just like having a jog, and he accidentally fell to the wrong side of the fence on his jog.
Well, I think he needs to have a word with himself about that. It's a bit of a fashion fail there as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, come on. Honestly, who goes running in beige? I mean, honestly.
Right.
Masha just makes a good point in the chat room. She says, looks like he's just getting his exercise in. He's keeping fit.
Yeah, great. But he could do it, the right side of the fence. No,
it's worth pointing out as well. Our main man Micah says in the chat room
sorry.
Today.
Yeah, Mark Priestley. Sorry. Oh no, sorry. Sorry. Carry on. Yeah. He says. Yeah, Mike Priestley says out on a run looking for bush for the loo. He says, honestly, hashtag sigh. There we go. Anyway,
I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him try and pee behind the jet blast of a. Taking off an A320 taking off.
Anyway, I think we have some birthday congratulations to
Yes, we do, because today is today is
Captain
First
Craig.
Officer, Captain Craig. I should
Captain
say.
Craig, not First Officer.
Captain Craig. Captain Craig's birthday.
He was a First Officer when he was on the show all those years ago.
Know.
That was just after. Was it just after Pittsburgh? Wasn't it? I seem to remember. If my memory comes back.
Happy birthday to Captain Craig.
Oh, tomorrow is Mila's birthday.
Yes.
Oh, I say. Do you know what? Micah has an amazing. I want his diary because he's better at this than I am.
but Micah's diary's in here.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I had for breakfast, let alone when your birthday is. Yeah, I think it's in August sometime. Carlos, sorry to interrupt.
Sorry. I'm really, sorry. I'm literally sorry, Matt. I'm doing what I love to do.
We're only live and I'm talking to you, but don't let that worry you.
I'm watching the chat room, and Captain Cruz, poor guy, was just running, trying to find the exit. Miles High says super low fare. You have to literally catch the plane.
Right. I mean, that's an option, certainly. Yeah, that's clearly one way of doing it. Very good.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh dear, never mind.
And I'll let you read Rick Bell's comment, Matt.
Oh really? Okay. There is a saying: "Don't pee into the wind." I wonder how that would work behind an A320 at takeoff power. Good point. Good point. Well made. That's a very good point. Not manufacturer recommended, I think, is what we're supposed to say to that. But there we go.
Anyway. So coming up next week, we've got a guest hopefully joining us next week. More info on that.
More details
through the social medias during the week, hopefully. So. Keep an eye on those. But Nev, talking of social media links, where can people find us?
Yes, well, of course, we are all over social media, as you know. So it's we're on Facebook at Plain Talking UK, on Twitter at Plain Talking UK, Instagram as well. And of course, if you want to get in touch with the show, you can send us an email at podcast@plaintalkinguk.com, and the website is www.plaintalkinguk.com. And Matt, you can just remind me of the WhatsApp number.
Certainly. I'm very sad because I know it off the top of my head. It's plus here. Look at the camera. I can't even see it around me. It's +44 757 22 49166. And then especially for Mark, I think it was, who wanted it slower earlier, it's +44 75. No, sorry, it's +44 757 22 49166. I've been told off in my ear by
which
John
coincidentally is the same WhatsApp number for the kitchen disco. Which is going to be happening on the 3rd of April. There we go.
Oh, is it?
That one. Yeah. It's the Easter one. You know that because we discussed it during the last live kitchen disco.
I think you're on crack. No,
it's another 2 weeks' time. You've got loads of time, is it? It's the 3rd of April.
All right. Okay. Well, it's always nice to find out live on air. That's the way forward.
We discussed it during the live. Honestly, I thought I've got a memory like a sieve.
I'm going to start recording our conversations because I have no recollection of that whatsoever. But anyway, that's fine. It's not like I'm doing anything.
No.
The joys of lockdown.
Well, hopefully things will start to get back to some sort of normality after June. Fingers crossed, as long as the old Bosman makes things happen here in the UK.
The Bosman, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Bozza, yeah. I didn't realise that was. I didn't realise that you were on, nickname terms with our Prime Minister.
Oh yeah, he's going to come down
Bozza.
the Queen's Head. He's going to come down the Queen's Head with us. On.
Easy.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I don't think he's heard of Ersham, to be fair.
Probably not. Actually.
No, indeed. Anyway, should we wrap up?
So, quick run through then. Nev, what are you doing next week?
A little of driving next week. Just going to pop into our office to do a bit of work there in London. But generally speaking, of course, very much at home at the moment. But of course, on the 29th of March, then we don't have to stay at home anymore. Which is good, so I'm looking forward to that. But of course, we can't really do anything. There's no coffee shops open or pubs or restaurants, so we'll have to come back to that a bit later. But we are making pretty good progress, I've got to say.
Matt, what are you doing?
No, I'm not up to anything. No.
Oh, brilliant! Excellent. What about? Don't forget tomorrow, people. If you are waking up here in the UK, or if you're in the US or across the globe, and you're tuning in to the radio waves tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. UK
here in
time,
the UK, yeah.
Here in the UK, if you ask your device,
smart speaker,
A smart speaker, yeah. I won't say the name because everyone's.
Well, no, because there's Google ones as well, isn't there? So, and Apple ones. And
go take yourselves over to Park Radio and Dis or Park Radio. Yeah. It will play a awesome show tomorrow morning, which is a breakfast show, which will be hosted by Matt Smith.
Yeah, somebody I've never heard of. In fact, actually, shall I play a little exclusive? Look, here you go.
No.
Matt Smith.
Hello. I'm the doctor.
No, not that one. Saturday breakfast on Park Radio.
Yeah.
So tune in tomorrow morning. Ask your smart speakers to play it. We are going to be listening in tomorrow morning, me and Gemma, and listening into the hilarity that will probably be when I send lots of weird videos and messages to Matt whilst he's live.
Yeah,
so
I'll be trying to concentrate, no doubt, and Carlos will be doing everything he can to, put me off. But anyway, there we go. Yeah, so that's live from 7 a.m. Ask your smart speaker, because unfortunately, I think only me and Carlos are the ones who live anywhere near the transmitters. So if you're here in the region, you can listen to it on FM, but for the rest of the country and indeed the world, you can ask for what is this 7 a.m. of which you speak, Nick Codling, a suggestion. Good point, obviously well made on a Saturday, I'll give you that.
Not many people know about that kind of time on a weekend.
Indeed. Yeah. But yes, so we will be doing that, yes, as I say. So ask your smart speaker to play Park Radio Dis at 7 a.m.
Jacob Darlington Brown says, does this make Matt famous now? Well, he was anyway, so I mean...
Infamous, I think you'll think. I think that there's something going on there. No, so, indeed. Quick, Carlos, are you doing anything?
Next week, I shall be driving my truck and sitting in a warehouse office next Wednesday, hopefully having some office time for a change rather than going out in the lorry, which would be quite nice. Doing the job I'm supposed to be doing rather than that, driving a lorry. But yes, it's all good. It's all good fun. We are busy, which is a good thing. And Stuart, who I know is watching at the moment as well, He's got lots of work on next week, so he's going to be busy.
That's good. Yep.
So.
No, that's good.
But so a big thanks to everyone in the YouTube chat room who has been watching and tuning in tonight. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight on this Friday evening. And also, don't forget as well, a big thanks to everyone who downloads the show as an audio podcast as well. Thank you for downloading the show. And if you do download the show as an audio podcast, if you could, and if you have 5 seconds spare, they would love a little review on iTunes or whatever podcast player you download us from. Just a little 5-star review would be blinking awesome. So thank you if you could. That'd be fantastic. So that is where we're going to bring episode 359 to a close. The big 360 next week, guys. So from me, here in my home studio, from Matt in his Master Suite studio, PTUK Studios, from Nev in his glorious Buckinghamshire studios, and from our awesome producer, John, who does loads of work in the background all during the week for the show in his studio. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend. Stay safe and see you all next Friday. Goodbye, everyone.